legs shaking, knees ever smooth. I made sure, skin silken soft from rose petals and oil. Alone before the mirror, I posed, naughty poses, guilty secret, someone's fantasy, practicing. I was ready, I was willing, I was 19. Shh, behind the screen, only behind the screen, shy. Don't look at me, see me. Are you watching? I peeked. You were watching. Silk and scanty lace, scented, clinging, falling, hardly moving, uncovering me, watching you. The more you see me, the more I see myself. We hid from them, the ones who loved you first. I was older, temptress, they called me, not of your world. We made our own world with perfume and sweat when we danced on that night, our first night. You knelt, took my hand, you twirled me, moved me, not knowing where you would take me, not caring. Aloft in your arms, where did the ground go? You elevated me to royalty. Princess was fine. I didn't want to rule. We ran away and defied them all. Risky business. We kept running, moving, dreaming, dancing. Less and less now. Too much energy to run from your world, from the ones who loved you first. Escape. Take me, take me, take me to Coney Island. Carousel. Beautiful, ancient, soothing rhythm. Some ups, some downs. An overpainted whore who still knows how to show you a good time. Stay with me, here, see me. Are you watching? I peeked. You were crying. We go round and round. I'm on this side. Where are you? Where are you? I am scarred. You did that. Not malice, just neglect. These are my tears. They don't fall from my eyes. They are my interior design. These are me's. The me I agreed to be, me in disguise, the me I always wanted to be, me dreaming. This is no longer me. I live here and here and here and here. This is my home. You moved me. I am still moved, moving. How old am I? No matter. Long ago, I ceased to recognize the reflection in the glass. Alone, still posing, still practicing. In this place, I will always be your dream. Interesting, in a way.
The dream of the dance.
Yes, the dream of the dance.
The dream of the dance.
Without pants.
With a bustier.
Yes, with a bustier and a tiara.
And a tiara.
Yeah, so dancing. There's a lot of dancing in my words, I think. So
Well, there's tons of rhythm, that's for sure.
yeah.
It reads rhythmically, you know. I'm just like, there's so many places to go with text, right? Like even just like listening to you speak, I had my own visual party happening, but then I was like, oh, I could take a reference from that visual party and then we could go in another offshoot from there. Like what role does the mirror play? You know what I mean? Like, do we just bring our
puppets and
right
behind the screen?
Right.
Right.
Do you want to say anything more about that piece when you wrote it, why you wrote it?
Yes, I wrote this piece when my mom was about 80 years old, and she said, I still feel like I'm 18. And my mom was, but she's not with us, but is an incredibly at the age of 98, I think, she and my brother would do like, remember the dance, the bump? Remember the bump? It's like
Maybe you should show us.
go down, and she'd be like, bump, 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 and it was always like music and dancing in my home. And so no matter what age she was, she always said, I feel like the same inside. And she and my father split up. I can't remember exactly when, but I think maybe like 40 years before, no, 30 years before that. But she would have this kind of monologue about how he left her, how painful that was, and that my mom never cried. So oh, it's gonna make me cry. And so the tears remained inside. And so, and the scarring was actual because, there was a car accident, he fell asleep at the wheel and she was physically scarred. And then on the inside, she's scarred. So I'm listening to her and I'm writing things down. And then it sounded like kind of sexy to me. I mean, it's not really, but like the beginning of how they started their relationship. And she was outside of his world and older than him, outside of his world, being, and this is why I like the idea of going beige, is because my family, my father's family were on does anyone know the brown paper bag
Yes,
side?
I mean,
Brown paper bag, if you're darker than a brown paper bag, then you were not going to be part of my father's family. My mom's family, we were all over they were all over the place, but my mom was definitely a whole lot darker than a brown paper bag. So that's weird, outside of that world. And so anyway, I don't know if I've said too much, probably, but
No,
that's where it came from.
I sent her on paper bags a lot. Because there is something about the skin privilege I talk about a lot that
Yep.
I think, has entered in, there's space here. There's space here for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can I say one more thing?
You can,
Only because I just thought of it, because you and I talked about this, is that recently someone I respect and a beautiful artist said to me, when I look at you, I see beige. And then I went, I didn't,
it was meant as a compliment. What, right? Oh,
it was, it was something as if I was, trying to jump above. I mean, I have something about that too that I've written, float above, something, be in the more brown paper bag, the skin privilege, it's like so screwed up. And so I like talking about it. I like talking about the fact that what you see, yes, is what you see. And at the same time, there is like what you don't see. And then it's like all of it is who this thing is, this. So that is like how I like to write and think. And when I saw your piece, I just went like, oh my God. So yes, Lelie, yes. Yes.
well, that's why we titled this Going Beige.
Yes.
Also,
yes.
why I think also, I don't know how often in your work you have it. I'm sure, let me see how I want to phrase this. I'm sure the experiences of being confronted with race have outweighed the times you've actually talked about it through your work. Is that true?
I'm not sure I understand that.
I'm just thinking of in the theater, in experimental theater, as a performer, as an actress, as someone who is cast,
Yeah.
based on body type and skin color and things like, I feel like in the
Yeah, I know.
theater, it's like, feels so much more, specific. I don't know if that's the word.
Well, I was lucky enough not to have that experience.
Yeah, yeah,
Very, very lucky not to have that experience.
yeah,
So the things I write about are about the experience of, not being, you know, more, or speaking more like I look like or whatever. And it's like in my family, even in my family. So it's like in my own family. So it's like I feel like I have to like go inside and get my ancestors to like help me out now, because there are so many, there is so much, and I want to explore it. And so in my work, I think that I bring to it whatever it is, all those little pieces that are like stuck on me, in me, all over me.
yeah.
That's what I bring into my work.
Yeah, no, that's why I feel like with experimental dance and performance, I've found a way to sort of like come around from the other side. And it feels, I was asking that because it feels deeply uncomfortable for me sometimes to address my experiences as a Black woman of not being enough. Or there's a whole bunch of E words too, like exceptional, or like, yeah, because we can talk about exception, like I was brought up like in the 90s when it was like Black excellence was like a big thing, which is, it was problematic because it was, only relative to like a neutral or white gaze, so it was like as this its own thing. Anyway, enough. Yes, so like coming at that from like sort of like in an experimental through an experimental form is the only way I feel like I've had access to it, besides like these direct, like these writing prompts or these writing exercises that I'll give myself, where I get to kind of just explore a little bit more in free form. And then from there, like I was telling Karen earlier, when I was looking through some old writing to find stuff to share, I found like the seeds for what had become like a larger script later. It was really interesting to go back and like look through some old free writing or some old assignment that I was like, oh, I took that one phrase and made this whole other thing from that. And I don't know if you write that way too, but it was, I didn't realize I did until I was looking through it today or this week or whenever to find the piece.
Yeah, I mean, I do write that way.
You do?
I write, like I'll write it very strange. Well, to me, it's not strange, but I recognize it in a way sometimes when I look at it again, it's like, where did that come from? This like very odd, this little snippet, and I kind of write in snippets anyway, and or fragments, and like nothing is ever finished. It's always, and it's kind of almost like it transforms into something else. And my husband said, "Oh, it's like you're making a quilt." I said, that is like what it is. And so when I start with like that's mainly where sometimes the feeling of movement comes from. I recently did a residency, and I wrote something down, and it made me do, I'm going to be so embarrassed now, it's going to be embarrassing, but I'm going to do it. It was a gesture, and it was like, this, and I went like, what is that? And then I did it again. I said, what is that? This kind of heart, head, and what is that?
So on.
And so on, yeah. And so it came, and I have the seeds, because we talked about the seed. And so I have the seeds of something else that I'm writing, and I don't know what it is, and it sounds crazy, but I know, yeah. That's, yes. Little itty bitty seeds. Yeah.
Yes.
That, since beige is the topic,
Yeah.
and you talked a little bit about how you understand it through art. I don't think it's clear that when you were called beige by a colleague who you respect and like, it is very hurtful. It was an epithet. You were accused of being beige. It
Yes.
wasn't a compliment. It was,
No,
you're on your way
to becoming a
owning
Black woman.
who you, yes. So I don't know, I'm curious how Leslie has experienced that, because, you know, you both look about like a brown paper bag. I don't know, I don't know how that impinges on Leslie, but I certainly know that in an odd and incredibly cruel way, that's, you know, as opposed to what Leslie was asking about your coming up in the theater and where you, was it difficult as a Black woman to play the parts you wanted to play, the cast, this and that? You never had that problem, and you said so. But you have had another problem, the same problem you discussed with Reggie, friend of ours, who Emmy-winning, incredible actor, amazing human being, now gone. He had that same problem. He was considered by his contemporary Black performers too big, you know, Black enough. So I'm asking Leslie, since I already know Karen, because you know, I've
Yeah.
seen you naked. What was your experience?
I mean, yeah. I think that's what I'm investigating in my work is like, I don't think if there's, I mean, certainly in my life, there's been experiences where I'm very starkly reminded of my skin color, and but I also recognize that, that as a performer, there's a certain amount of fluency that I'm expected to have that really has served my performance career, but also has done a disservice to like my own identity in a way. And so there's this way of having to like, no, I'm still Black. Like like I actually have a lot of or it brings up this desire to kind of like pull back the curtain on that history, that family history, and share, because it's so nuanced.
That's,
And actually, like yeah, I'm working with the paper bag as a medium right now a lot, like because of this. It's true. And because my parents grew up in the South Side of Chicago, and it was kind of the same thing, their little enclave of like friends. They were in like Jack and Jill and Lynx and all the social clubs that were run by the Bridge Club mothers. And you know, my mom told me she brought home a boyfriend, and my grandmother was like, he's too dark, like you can't date him. So like I'm one generation off of that, and it's
just,
but it's still like part of my, it's still part of my world. And yeah, I don't have a space for it. And then when Karen and I started sharing some of our experiences, I was like, I think that's a specificity of being a performer, because sometimes it's necessary to kind of like pull more of yourself or less of yourself, depending. And I mean, I don't know how you approach acting.
Well, I just wonder if you have, well, you have many selves, right, that you can pull from.
Definitely.
Yeah.
which is also, it's
So that's-
exhausting. That's really hard to manage, you know? Um, Again, that's part of the fluency that's required, but it's also, somebody close to me recently said, like, you're really hard to read. And I was like, I thought we were close friends, and it was really painful.
I did that. Yes, I did. I did that in front of
Give me a big towel. Okay. Don't worry about it. Those look like shoes, not the shoes.
Oh, it's all right.
Should we read something else? Or do you want to keep talking about it?
Should we read something else? No, it's okay.
That's okay. It's just wet.
It's so embarrassing. But it's like, it's like life is happening right before the eyes. I was actually thinking of reading my seed.
Yeah, I want to
The
hear it.
seed that I'm working on right now that I actually cannot do all of, because some of it is written in languages that I know are in my DNA, but I don't know how to speak them yet. So that's okay. Oh gosh. Oh my God. I mean, oh gosh.
Just so you don't slip.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It happened. The embarrassing thing happened. Yep. Nothing can go wrong now.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's what I'm working on now, and I don't know, see what you get from it, okay? Turn left, turn right. Do you see her? Can you find her? She's inside, not hiding, only afraid to be. Twilight, transformation, transition, time of change. Water dragons, healers, warriors, bringers of unity and peace, wisdom of the ancients in her blood. A moment of silence. Magical, enchanting, wee hours, so brief, so full. Un momento lo es todo. Un momento è tutto. Aun mihonat, I can't say it, it's Scottish Gaelic, and then there's Irish. I can say this one. Un momento è tutto. Un instant c'est tout. Ein Moment ist alles. And then there's Yoruba, and then there's Finnish, and then there's Danish, and then there's Welsh. In this place, in the little places, inside, feel, pulse, tickle, touch, burrow, rise, fall. From these eyes in, I see us. From those eyes out, they see me. Inside voice inside counts 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 2, 3, 4, 8, 7, 6, 5. I dance their song, a scratching in the earth. When tangerines were candy and nickels were worthy coins, tart. So desolately awake, shadows, boxing shadows. She didn't know what it would mean. They said it was safe. It's safe, they said. Those are my seeds that I'm working on right now. It's filled with water. So it'll sprout.
There's so much movement in there.
Girl.
We're gonna be dancing. Be
Dancing.
dancing.
Hey.
I mean, that's just like instruction for me right there, for both of us. Oh, wow, okay. We have 10 minutes left.
Wow.
Anything else?
I don't know.
don't want you to read the thing.
Oh, gosh, okay.
I'm
There's a thing.
sorry.
It's all right.
I'm-
It's terrifying. It's
I-
all right.
It's really terrifying.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifying
All
for
right,
me.
it's terrifying. Okay, so I'm going to read something that I've never read. Leslie sent this to me and she said to me, I just want you to look at the title of it. At first she said, don't read it. So I paid attention, so I didn't read it, but I saw the title and it's called,
I know, I changed it, yeah. yeah.
oh, okay.
Mm.
It starts with Dear Mother.
This is Leslie wrote it, Jeff.
But yeah, so, okay, I just want to say. Extremely private, but this is like, again, like, none of this is for material. I just like the feeling is something that I wanted to share with you, and I think reading it out loud is what, you know what I mean? That's it. This is not an exhibition kind
Right,
of.
and then you can hear it. It's
And then I can
different when you
hear it.
hear it. Yeah,
And then I can hear, it. Like I said, I'm not planning, I don't want to use any of this, but there's something in the feeling of it that I wanted to hear.
okay. Here we go. Dear Mother, everything I know, I learned from you. Things I don't even realize, yet I've acquired, things I don't even realize, yet I've acquired from you. All my blood you pumped into me, all red and purple, black and blue into the world. Would you look at that? You would say, a marvel. You were stunning when you were young. I saw Jane Fonda's tapes on the shelf by your figure, but your figure was shaped by your mother, and before that, hers, long, lean, and light, neatly tucked in and together, a respectable and versatile coiffure, protected by your brothers and free to be fierce, your radiant smile. Recently, you told me, I raised you better than that. When I told you I had waited 5 years between my last teeth cleaning. I laughed because I thought it was a joke, but you were not joking. All at once, I felt the thrust of that statement. She meant, after all, we stood up against, fought for, and kept together to pass on your conventional beauty. Generations of making the best out of a wrought, timing, circumstance thing, but certainly not the worst thing. Each inching further from the bad, closer to the good. Well, your almond eyes, your curls, not kinks, your chestnut, not chocolate. These were the good, and you should consider yourself lucky. A pudgy girl with gapped front teeth won't do despite all your personality. I had grandma's build, thick or bigger boned when people were trying to be polite. And this was a problem for both of us. The most pious woman we met in probably both our lives, who resented you for marrying her firstborn as your second husband, who wouldn't let you marry dad in a church because of it, who never let you forget this despite all you did. My body did things my sisters didn't, grew and shifted faster and wider instead of timely and tall. I was something needing fixing. From toys to manners, keep everything together. We had to, my sisters and I. By the way, who is your favorite? Never mind, don't answer that. Labels everywhere to help us learn to read early. Desks always left clean, clothes folded and plates cleaned, except you didn't push that one too hard with me. I knew you were worried. You'll be big as a house, you'd say, as I raced through my Halloween candy faster than anyone. I'm just so happy I can say this to you still. I don't know why I'm writing as if you're gone. More and more, especially as I age, I think every day, did I get this from her? Did I not? And I just try to imagine what it was like for you trying to find yourself in the 1960s or even 1980s America project, while your whole world was just figuring out how to just recognize you as a person. Taking two steps forward for the two steps forward for the future me, and every sidestep or side back you turned into a dance, a show you've been performing even while I stood on your toes, gripping your pointer fingers. Your shoes never wore out. Still, you must be so tired because I'm exhausted. I question my place while having to know exactly who I am. Knowing if I didn't have this hair, this skin, maybe I wouldn't have to question, but I wouldn't be from you. You gave me everything I needed to survive. So easy to blame myself for things. And you show me how to keep my chin up and keep moving through the world. That it's all mine. And I forgot that sometimes. And I forget that sometimes. And I'm perfecting things you've taught me so much that I don't even know where I begin. I get so angry about that. So much of my time is performing that I forgot how to be me. And I have so much resentment. People don't get close to me. It's my fault. I wish I had spent my time another way. I wish I'd spent more time being unafraid to take what's mine, to do what I want. I spent so much time trying to make you proud of me so you don't have to worry. I'm realizing now that there's no point where I get to hang this up and say, okay, I'm okay. I can put that down now. It's just part of every day, part of what I try to be, part of what I try to do, part of my loyalty and love for you, part of, I don't know how to survive any other way. I hate that I'm scared. I'm afraid my wall will crumble if I don't keep this up. And I hate that I'm only recognizing this now. I wish I could get back some of the years, some of the time that I lost in this dance. But more importantly, I wish I could give those years to you. Maybe that would make you the most proud of me of all.
Um,
Well, when we get together next time, I got a thing for this too,
yeah, yeah,
right?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, yes, sir. Night and day.
yeah, there's something about the generation stuff. Okay. We
Well,
should- we
Are
should
they,
wrap
are they
up.
out of time?
No, that's true.
We have 3
3
minutes.
minutes,
We
so
can-
let's open it up to
Well, yeah,
yeah, I don't, do you have something?
I do, but I don't know if 3 minutes or if people want to say something. I mean, I don't know. So that's, what,
This was the one you said you wanted me to read, right?
no.
Mm. Okay.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. I'll read it fast. She was not clever. That's how they used to say it, clever. See how she stoops? The darkness makes her do that. She isn't small, but she can crawl through the cracks. She doesn't know why. She isn't clever. She knows who came before her, learned her lessons well, saw herself before she became herself, and was not herself while she was being herself. She knew she was not that small. The other girl was closer to the sun. She was tall, her head in the sky. People smiled when they'd see her. Some stroked her hair. She became even lighter and floated upwards. She grew taller. She was fed. She could look right at you. She was so tall. She could look down at you. No meaning in that. Bright as the sun, they were night and day.
Where do we go from here? I don't know.
Okay, this was very, very,
There's lots of stuff. There's lots of stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
and lots of water and thank you for being here.
thank you so much.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Leslie and Karen, for being with us and inviting us into your process at this very beginning point. And thank you all for coming this evening.